Lastly, I want to show you an application for these measures of central tendency. So I have a data set here, and there were actually a larger data set that I separated. The respondents indicated their gender, and I've isolated only the responses from the female respondents, and they were asked in a survey how many texts they had sent in the last month, in the month prior to the survey. So for instance, this respondent said that they had sent 0 text in the previous month, and this last respondent said that they sent 5,550 texts in the last month. And I have these indexed. It's cut off there, but they are numbered 1 through the last one at the bottom would actually be 46, and then they start back at 47, and in total there were 117 respondents to the survey. So let's look at the measures of central tendency. First we'll find the mean. I actually already calculated the sum for all of our variable values. So for the mean, we can just take this sum, 36,208, and divide it by our sample size. In this case, that was 117. So 36,208 divided by 117 is 309.47. I'm just going to say 0.5. So what about the median? Since I have an odd number of observations, I'm going to look in position n plus 1 over 2. In other words, 118 over 2. So that would be 59. So in position 59, I see that person sent 40 texts last month. So the median is 40. So half of the respondents sent 40 or fewer text, and we can also see that half sent 40 or more text. And finally, let's look for the mode. I have several repetitions of 1. Let's see, there are also some repetitions of 15, lots of 20s, a few 30s here, and so forth. So I'm just looking for things that I can just pop out as repeating several times, or some 100s. But I think, let's see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There were 8 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There were 6 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 10. And I think what you'll find is that the thing that repeats the most is 20. And that actually happened 10 times. Now, let's think about what this tells us. If we were trying to summarize what we found from our analysis of this data in order to say what was typical about texting among the female respondents, I think you might report that the average number of texts in the previous month was just over 300. If I were going to make that statement, I think I would follow it up by saying, however, that was not common. The data were skewed right, and so this was inflated by a few respondents who sent an unusually large number of texts. We could report the median. Again, as I said earlier, that we could interpret as saying half of respondents sent 40 or fewer, half sent 40 or more. I think that's actually a pretty good indication for someone. They would have a good idea about what was typical. For the mode, It is true that the most common number of texts sent in the previous month among the female respondents was 20. And I think if I were going to use this to make a statement about what was typical or normal or common, you might want to point out that there were other values that were almost as common. So let's look at how this relates to the shape of the distribution. So we'll do a little bit of review about constructing a frequency table to organize the data in here. So the maximum number of texts that were sent was 5,550, and the minimum was 0. So I have a range of 5,550. There were 117 items in my data set. I want to end up with somewhere between 5 and 20 classes. To make things simple, let's just say we're going to shoot for 10 classes. So my target class width might be 555. However, I've got a lot of leeway here. Instead of using this exact number, I may round down to 500 or up to 600 and use this for a class width. If I'm going to use 500, my first class might be from 0 to 499. My second class would be from 500 to 599. I'm sorry, to 999. And I'm going to just keep incrementing by 500 for my lower class limits. And then I can add in my upper class limits. This would be $14.99, $19.99, $24.99, $29.99, $34.99, $39.99, $44.99, and $49.99, $54.99, and $59.99. So these are the number of text, and this will be the frequency. So how many people sent between 0 and 499 texts? So looking back, that's most of the people. In fact, I have to look all the way over here. The first 99, when they're in order, sent between 0 and 499. Now what about between 500 and 999? So that would be up through this person. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And between 1,000 and 1499 would be these 3 people. And then I would have 2 in this range, another 2 here. I'm sorry, hold on for a second. Let me make sure I did this right. Actually, there were 0 in this between 2,000 and 2499, and then there were 2 here, and 1 here, 1 here, none, 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 and 1. Let me make sure I just did this right. So 1, 2, 3, 5, and another 5 is 10. 18 plus 9 is 27 plus, yeah. So that sure enough does add to 1, 17. So I'm sure that I counted everybody. Remember, if you wanted to, you could add the percentage or relative frequency. So when we look at this distribution as far as in a graph, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is going to be 0, 500, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 2,500, 3,000, 3,500, 4,000, 4,500, 5,000, and 5,500. So those are the number of text. And I'm going to use count over here. They go up to 99, so I'm going to make this to 100, put 50, that'd be 60, 70, 80, 90, 40, 30, 20, 10. So my first bar is going to go almost up to 100. This actually represents the 99. The second bar corresponds to 8, and then I've got 3, followed by a 2, then a 0, another 2, and then a couple of 1s, a few blanks, and then another 1. So here is what my histogram looks like. Now notice that there is definitely, and so these were the female respondents, number of text in the previous month. We have this definitely a right skew to this data. It's no surprise that the mean is much greater than the median. So remember that the mean was 309.5 and the median was just 40. So when we have a right skewed distribution, that's exactly what we expect, for the mean to be much higher, or at least to be higher. Here there's a big difference.